If you're considering a job in private equity, join the club. Each year, a fresh class of MBA and business undergrads enter the job field wondering how to get a job in private equity. In this video, I'm going to give you my 5 best tips for getting your dream job. And when you stay to the end, I'll share a story of how I did it all wrong and still ended up in my dream job. Okay, let's dive in. So the first thing you have to do is work hard in college. Get good grades, join the clubs, the investment banking clubs, etc., the investment clubs. Start building your ability to build financials, models, and understand financials and forecasts and those types of things. Read the Wall Street Journal, a lot of those things. Network, get your foot in the door into an investment banking opportunity at a bulge bracket or one of the high-end boutiques. And when I say high-end boutiques, I'm talking about investment banks like Moelis or Catalyst, or some of those other kind of smaller investment banks that are very focused and very well respected. Then what happens is once you get that job, like you become a target for private equity and private equity recruiters. So it's not uncommon, especially if you're doing a good job in your investment banking class, to be hit up by a number of recruiters for private equity, even within months of starting. So work with those recruiters. They'll then help you get interviews. They'll help you prep, position yourself well, and then get interviews with some private equity funds. That's really the way to get into private equity. I wish I could tell you there was some like super secret sauce thing, but it's a pretty straight path. Okay, so just some tips to help you get there. So one, it is actually possible to get into private equity straight out of undergrad. It is a little bit more challenging, and the work you do is a little bit different than the type of work you would do if you had done investment banking already. The reason for that is like investment banking is kind of this check the box to say like, oh, hey, he or she went through an investment banking program. They had to work really hard, so we know that they can work hard. They met like a certain level of intelligence and a certain level of passion for this industry. So it just kind of checks a lot of boxes to say like, hey, you're a qualified candidate for private equity. But if you can demonstrate all of those things as an undergrad, you can kind of skip the investment banking route. So what does that mean? That means that you need to get relevant experience at internships before you graduate. So that could be going and doing an investment banking internship. It could mean that you work for a company, or you work for a family office, or whatever it is. The other thing is you need to network like crazy. So go meet with private equity funds and fund managers, right? Here's the thing. If you're a student and you're watching this, you have this amazing superpower, and it's called being a student. Everybody loves to help students. So use that to your advantage and go meet with people, right? Just send them a note and say, hey, I think what you do sounds super interesting. It's something I've thought about maybe doing. I would love to meet up, pick your brain on how to get into the industry and get your thoughts on the things I should be doing to prepare now. Now, part of that is so that you can actually learn, but part of it's also so you can start building a relationship with them. And the more you can do to like impress them that like, hey, you've got the things that they're looking for. You're smart, you know how to work hard, you've got good grades, right? You're cool to be around, right? You're the type of person they would want on their team. The more likely it is that when opportunities arise that they're hiring, they're going to think of you, right? And then lastly, like be willing to do whatever it takes, especially in those early years, because honestly, it may not be the most exciting or fun job. You might be smiling and dialing for deal flow where you're on a phone every day and you are calling entrepreneurs and founders and CEOs of companies to learn about their business and then pitch them on why they should consider raising money or being acquired by the private equity firm that you work at. It's very much a sales job. The funny thing about the world is the entry-level jobs and the jobs at the top are all sales. It's all the stuff in the middle that's not sales. So, build the skill set early and it'll pay dividends throughout your career. The other thing you have to keep in mind is you really need experience, skills, and a network in order to succeed in private equity. So first off is experience. Try to get an internship at a private equity fund, an investment bank, and work super hard. Do a really good job for them. Oftentimes, like I have students that have gone through our program at University Growth Fund that have gotten an internship at a private equity fund. They've worked super hard and they've been able to demonstrate to that private equity fund that they're ready to go now. And so when they've graduated, they've received full-time offers to stay at that private equity fund, even though usually the private equity fund hires investment banking people that have gone through investment banking. So that brings me to the skill set. So you got to be able to sell on the phone, right? I was talking about smiling and dialing. So you have to be able to build relationships with CEOs and entrepreneurs quickly and get them kind of to trust you so you can have an engaging conversation and learn what you need to know about the business, as well as sell them on why they should even have a conversation with you. You need to be able to build out your financial modeling skills and your accounting skills. You should be able to build a 3-statement model. You should be able to run comps. You should be able to build a DCF. And if these things that I'm talking about sound very alien to you, go Google search them, go watch some of my other videos where we talk about them. But you need to learn kind of those skill sets, and then you need to practice as much as possible. So I'm a big proponent of just getting reps and working on getting as many reps as you possibly can. The last thing is you need to go out and network. So all the experience and skills in the world won't matter if they don't know who you are. Build your network and get warm intros any way you can. So some tips on getting warm intros. Talk to people that went to your same school. Talk to people that have a similar interest. Talk to people that went to came out of the same community as you did. Whatever it is, talk to your friends of friends. Talk to family members that know people. Like, if you can get a warm intro, then you can have a meaningful conversation with these people, and they'll kind of let their guard down and engage with you. And so the more people you know, the more opportunities that can arise. Another piece of advice is find an angle, find an edge. Find some way in which you have a distinct advantage. So I'll give you an example. Lots of PE firms, probably almost all PE firms, are desperate for diverse talent. And when I say diverse talent, I'm talking people that are Black, Brown, Latinx, LGBTQ+, like anything at the end of the day that's not white male. Because they're getting a lot of pressure from their investors to have a more diverse management team and investment team. So if that describes how you identify yourself, then you might actually have an advantage. Use that to your advantage, right? Maybe you have a skill that's super unique, or maybe you're super passionate about an area that others don't know much about. Even though it's not private equity, I have one student that's a good friend of mine who went super deep into crypto. Super deep, and was reading all of the white papers, understood the math behind it, built networks and relationships. And so when this venture fund that in the crypto space was hiring, he was able to win a position there because of his passion and knowledge. So find your own edge, your own angle. It could be that you go super deep. It could be that you have unique access to certain types of companies or a certain understanding, like whatever it is, or maybe you've got a certain background that the private equity funds are looking for. Find your edge. And then the last thing is, I would say consider starting your own fund or starting a search fund. So the easiest way to do this is to build relationships with wealthy people and then go hunt for a private equity deal that you can bring them to fund, right? If you go, everybody is looking for great deals. So if you go to wealthy people, family offices, high net worth individuals, and say, hey, I'm going to go hustle and I'm going to go find you an amazing deal, right? Then they'll probably be willing to chat with you, right? Because what does it hurt them? If you come to them with an amazing deal, then that's a win for them and they could make a lot of money. And if you come to them with a crappy deal, then they don't do it. They don't invest and they didn't lose anything, right? So it can be an easy way for you to go out and start building relationships and building your own track record. And you can do that through search funds. You can do that through SPVs, single purpose vehicles. There are a lot of different avenues that way. Okay, but to be honest, I didn't really do any of these things. I didn't do investment banking really. I did a little internship at Citi, but I didn't do a full-time investment banking job. I have done a bunch of networking, but I didn't do a lot of these things. But I'm still in a job that I love in the general realm of private equity. So here's how I did it. So when I was in college, there was this fund called University Venture Fund. And it was an $18 million fund designed to give students exposure to the world of venture capital. I got involved as a student and I just fell in love. I poured my heart and soul into that internship and was super engaged in everything that we were doing. I was helping redesign stuff, build stuff, recruit students, train other students, mentor students, Like I just loved it and I was all in. And because of that, like I didn't do like 50 other internships like some people. I just like poured everything into UVF. And the benefit of that was I was able to go a lot deeper than other students were able to. I was able to add a lot more value to the organization. And so when I graduated, I was offered a position to stay on and keep doing, frankly, all the things I was already doing. And I know lots of other people that have had similar pathways. I have a good friend that did that with a venture fund up in Idaho. He called them up and he was like, I want to intern for you. And they're like, we don't have an internship program. And he's like, I'll work for free. I don't care. He's like, I just want the experience and I will work super, super hard for you. And they were like, he finally just wore him down. And they said, fine, you can come work. We're not paying you anything, right? Like, whatever. So he came on and he worked incredibly hard. And by the end of the summer, they were like, crap, we don't want to lose you because you've actually added a tremendous amount of value to our organization. And they ended up making him an offer to stay on with them part-time. And then when he graduated, a full-time offer. And that led to other opportunities to work at Techstars and a bunch of other things. And so I think honestly, like you can go about it like having tons of internships, or you can have one and you can go super deep and add a ton of value to that internship and have real impact. And that's one way in which you can kind of skip this pathway and go about it a different way. And honestly, when you go really deep in an internship and you help people, they then value that and they feel an obligation to help you back. And that's really like what networking is all about. It's adding value to people, helping them, and then them helping you to achieve great things. If this was helpful, join me for my next video where we're going to talk about how to get into venture capital without experience, and where I'll share some more details about the things that I did and the things you can do to help land that career in venture capital.